Hello dear ones, and welcome to a brand new edition of the PPC News Parade. From last week, a little delayed because I took a short break. Last week, what are the main news stories we will discuss? So let's talk about a new study on the correlation between the farewell to optimized CPC, advanced plans in demand generation, how to continue, using auction data in Data Studio as charting tools, automatic connection to Merchant Center, a mini guide to WhatsApp extensions, and when they will arrive, and age, and gender limits in demand generation. Specifically for Google Ads. As for Meta Ads, we have a great post on targeting and the role of the advertiser, as well as how to measure return traffic from Google after an impression in Meta Ads. Finally, for Microsoft, we have the latest updates on PMax, brain safety display, and connected TV. So, let's get started right away with the two pieces of news outside the top 10. The first comes from attannuity.com, and it is a study conducted on shopping ideas and purchasing hypotheses for the upcoming holidays, specifically during the next Christmas holiday period. It is a survey conducted on 1,000 respondents interviewed in the United States, and there are some interesting data that could be useful for the campaigns. The second extra piece of additional content, in addition to the ranking, comes from Martin Rickerding on LinkedIn.com and is a comment on the latest and greatest evolution of demand generation, which will show their conversions that Martin jokingly refers to as improper, meaning that practically any and every conversion that had an impression in any campaign ends up here in this new column. According to Martin, it's not exactly the ideal thing, even though it's clear that it was done to compete with Meta more than anything else. But let's get to the point, that is, news number 10. So, what is it about? It's the latest recap of the news, with the latest updates from Microsoft, as at the beginning of every month. Microsoft releases this summary, and there are some interesting things, including updates in the display network, especially with more connected TV where Microsoft ads will appear. There are also some new features regarding Performance Max and the ability to index, allowing the site to be indexed immediately with an opposite command to enable dynamic campaigns. It's interesting. In short, if I want to enter the organic results of Bing where I might be absent. But let's move on. The news number 9. Dario Zanoni on LinkedIn.com identified the post by Satoshi Ando, where it is highlighted for the first time. Among the first to find it, that in demand generation, the possibility to limit gender and age ranges in campaigns has been introduced. So this can limit these completely automated campaigns otherwise. News number 8. Post by Karoya, ROIA.com, where the WhatsApp extensions are thoroughly examined, so to speak, which will most likely be available globally quite quickly, as there are already countries where they are being rolled out. Therefore, it will be possible to link a potential WhatsApp number, call center, or support directly within Google AdWords campaigns. And here it explains how to do it and what to pay attention to. News number 7. Casey Gill on LinkedIn.com shared a message from Google stating that in one of his accounts, the Merchant Center and the Google Ads account will be linked automatically, which previously did not happen and was a manual step. The reasoning is clear. Google wants to encourage those who organically index their products through the Merchant Center to also run campaigns. Therefore, if it finds a match between the accounts and the landing site, it will make the connection automatically. This could create issues for those using a single account to connect to multiple advertisers or client companies, which could lead to connections that are sometimes unnecessary and should actually be avoided. News number 6. Micros, also on LinkedIn.com, has found a way to download and reuse Google Ads auction statistics in Data Studio and Looker Studio, which were blocked a couple of weeks ago and are no longer available for use in Looker Studio. Therefore, they created this new tool to download them and continue using them, or to use them in another charting tool. News number 5. Bran Van Dalen, also on LinkedIn.com, shares a post explaining how to track clicks within Meta ads made by users who came from Google Ads after viewing an impression in Meta. Essentially, the searches induced by Meta ads. It's nothing new. I have already shared content of this kind several times, but it's a nice, useful recap if you still don't use this metric. Here is the latest and most important news. Number 4. Thomas Excel on LinkedIn.com was the first to identify and explain a new section within the Performance Planner. Essentially, a performance simulator that now works for video campaigns and demand generation, which were not previously included. This extension is a new feature that can be useful for planning campaigns and hypothesizing results. In short, my experience is that this type of planners do not work very well, so be careful about sharing data before you have actually set up a campaign. At the end of the podium, JohnLoomer.com features yet another excellent post in which John explains the role of the modern advertiser within Meta ads. This role is no longer about precisely identifying the most interesting audiences to target, but rather about making the right connections between audiences and messages. Advertisers need to provide Meta's machine learning with all the information it cannot obtain, such as seasonal trends, industry-specific jargon, and more. Essentially, everything that the platform can do better than us should be left to the platform, while anything the platform cannot know because we haven't communicated it must be conveyed by a knowledgeable advertiser to the platform. News number 2. Goodbye. to the optimized CPC, another piece of AdWords history. Now, Google Ads, that is being set aside. From September, it will no longer be possible to create new campaigns using optimized CPC, and from March 2025, campaigns that use optimized CPC will be automatically switched. The manual CPC. Actually, it's not a huge loss because either manual CPC was used, for example, in branding campaigns to keep the cost per click low, which otherwise Google would inflate, or another automated bidding methodology was employed. So, let's say that optimized CPC had become somewhat redundant, but in some cases it could still be useful. However, it is no longer possible to use it. So we will have to transition and keep the optimized CPC, as long as Google allows us, or adopt another smart bidding strategy. News number 1. It is a study published by Optimizer, so you can find it on optimizer.com. Commented on by Nova Hopkins, as usual, which relates, or rather verifies the relationship between ad strength, that is, the effectiveness of the ad, and account performance. The relationship actually doesn't exist, as all experienced advertisers know. If you are capable, if you know what you are doing when you write an ad, you usually manage to outperform the performance suggested automatically by Google Ads. However, if you are a bit of a novice, then at this point, that indicator can absolutely make sense because it encourages you to use the keywords that are actually used in the campaign. Well, that's all for this edition. See you next time. If I've forgotten anything, please comment, and I'll take it into consideration maybe next week. May the ROI be with you. Bye.